On an aesthetic front, last year's Star Wars Battlefront was astounding. With visuals and sounds plucked straight from the movies, this was probably the best looking, most authentically Star Wars game ever made. Sadly, the beauty was only skin deep, and the gameplay Star Wars Battlefront offered was, for all intents and purpose, pretty damn shallow. That's why this weekend's Star Wars Battlefront 2 reveal is so important. We'll finally get to see whether or not EA has listened to fan feedback and made Battlefront feel more like, well, Battlefront. We do already know that one major change is taking place. It has been confirmed that Battlefront 2 will be receiving a proper single-player campaign this time around. We're not sure what form this will take, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if EA copies Battlefield 1's war stories and focuses on a few different characters for multiple bite-sized story-driven campaigns. This would make sense, considering they've also stated that the game will feature heroes and villains from across multiple Star Wars eras. That's a promising start for sure, but there's still a way to go before we get a perfect Battlefront game for this generation of consoles. With that in mind, here's 7 things I'd like to see from Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes! Walk her down! Take position! Alright. Shift.
Number 1, add a proper class system. Star Wars Battlefront was a casual shooter. It kept things simple so it would appeal to Star Wars fans of all ages and skills. That's fine, I get it. Doing it like that means more people would play it and EA would make more money. Great, well done them. The thing is, it didn't really work very well. The gameplay got old fast and players ditched the game much quicker than they would have done normally had the game had more depth. Past Battlefronts have always been about unit classes, each with different skills and weapons. Make it more like that, like we're playing actual specific important roles in the battles rather than just having a bunch of generic assault grunts running around like headless chickens with pick and mix loadouts. Or if that's too simple for modern tastes, take a leaf out of Battlefield 1's book and give us a few individual classes with their own specific weapon and kit loadouts that we can grind for over time. Whatever, the main point is, I want to feel less like cannon fodder and more like I'm playing an integral part in the overall battle. Basically, what I'm trying to say is get rid of star cards. They work against everything Battlefront should be. Number 2, bring back Galactic Conquest.
Fleet's on standby.
This was one of the best modes in the original Battlefront games. Your slightly lofty goal was to capture all of the planets in the galaxy via a mix of strategic elements like moving fleets and enlisting new unit types, and more traditional ground and air combat. This would work well as solo content, yes, but with current tech, a huge, persistent Galactic Conquest mode has the potential to be incredible. Players could assign themselves to a faction once they get their hands on the game, and then take part in huge galaxy-spanning conflicts that last for months at a time, with massive XP rewards for any faction that successfully manages to conquer everything. Number 3, 64-player servers. If Battlefield can do it, why not Battlefront? Obviously, there should be smaller game modes for those of us who prefer tighter, less chaotic matches, but the option for epic battles with 64 players has to be in here. The best EA's Star Wars Battlefront could manage was 40 players max, which, while being large enough to provide some busy battles, just didn't feel epic enough. Increase the cap to 64 and perhaps add in clusters of AI grunts a la Titanfall, and we'd have something more akin to the huge skirmishes we witnessed in the prequels.
That's the end of the Emperor.
Number 4, seamless ground-to-vehicle transitions are a must. Grabbing a vehicle in Battlefront was a jolting experience. The fact you had to lock onto power-ups that were floating in the middle of the battleground was pretty immersion-breaking. It just kind of felt out of place. In Battlefield 2, I hope we're able to jump in and out of vehicles at will. Imagine, say, running into an enemy hangar, stealing one of their fighters, and then using it against them, or jumping onto a speeder bike, racing to a control point, and bailing out to provide some much-needed reinforcements. The way things are currently, it also means that there's no scope for multi-passenger vehicles. Seamless transitions could provide anything from being able to pilot troop transports to jumping on an A-wing with a buddy and working together to bring down an AT-AT on Hoth, like your own personal versions of Luke and Dak in Empire Strikes Back, except hopefully without one of you getting your face melted off by laser fire. Number 5, Space Battles. I thought Battlefront's Fighter Squadron mode was great. It has a few little faults, sure, but the main problem was we never got to see any proper space battles. We got a threadbare one with the Scarif DLC, but it still felt like we were restricted to a small scuffle rather than a full-on war in the stars. A Star War, if you will. My dream scenario, though, would involve the seamless transitions I spoke about in my previous point. Imagine those, but with the added ability of being able to fly from a planet's surface up into space, No Man's Sky style. Imagine jumping into an X-Wing on Jakku, for instance, flying up into space and joining up with a squadron of fighters who are trying to take down a Star Destroyer. That would be incredible, and it's something that's not impossible to pull off. I mean, Free Radical managed to do something similar in the sadly cancelled Star Wars Battlefront 3, and that was over 10 years ago.
This is Red 4, back at full power.
Glad to hear it, Red 4. Red Flight, accelerate to attack speed.
We're staying?
We've still got a job to do, Red 2.
Number 6, more VR missions. Okay, so this point might be a little bit of a niche one, as it only really applies to PSVR owners, but if you were lucky enough to play Battlefront's Rogue One X-Wing VR mission, you'll no doubt be clamouring for more. The feeling of sitting in an actual X-Wing cockpit and being able to press a button and watch your S-foils lock into attack position is like a childhood dream come true. Honestly, the VR mission lets you experience Star Wars in a way you've only ever been able to do before in your imagination. The only real negative about the whole experience is just how damn short it was. 10 minutes of Star Wars bliss and then it's all over. Resident Evil 7 proved that AAA games can work in VR, and while the core multiplayer portion of Battlefront 2 definitely wouldn't be suited to VR, having a meaty section of the story mode dedicated to an X-Wing pilot like Poe Dameron, for instance, would give EA the chance to build in VR functionality. But why stop there? How about a dedicated Fighter Squadron mode for PSVR, where players can battle it out in space, Eve Valkyrie style? Imagine being able to sit in the Falcon's cockpit, or being able to pilot Boba Fett's Slave One, or like, how immense would it be to fly through the Death Star trenches in a TIE Interceptor taking out Rebel scum? There's so much untapped potential for an amazing Star Wars PSVR game, I'm just buzzing thinking about it.
I'm in a little trouble here. I have a really bad feeling about this.
Number 7, let us kill Ewoks. Now, one of the worst things about Star Wars Battlefront, in my opinion, was being able to see and hear Ewoks, but not being able to kill them. Seriously, nothing would have given me greater pleasure than sending a white-hot bolt of blaster fire through the skulls of these aggravating little furballs. The worst thing was, technically, you could shoot them, but nothing actually happened when you did. They just scurried off into their huts, completely unscathed, the invulnerable little shits. Oh, and while we're at it, if this next game does span multiple eras like we've been told, take us to the prequels, plop us down in the battle for Naboo, crank up Duel of the Fates, and let us kill some Gungans. Come on, Disney. After all Jar Jar put us through, the least you can do is allow EA to give us a gigantic, cathartic murder spree. You son know it, Make a Descents. Alrighty, that was my list of things I'd like to see from Star Wars Battlefront 2. But have you got any suggestions for features that I missed off? Let me know in the comments below, and do subscribe to our channel for detailed coverage on what we actually will get from the full game. I'm actually heading to this weekend's Star Wars celebration in Florida to get a first-hand look at the new gameplay, so expect plenty of videos to pop up here, along with written features on our website Eurogamer.net as soon as I can get them made. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
Is exposed. Take it out.